The bun was the trap. Not the flame-broiled beef, not the sauce dripping down the wrapper. The danger was hiding in the soft, harmless bread holding the Whopper together. For years, Burger King kept ingredient lists hard to see, while millions bought speed, comfort, and a familiar crown. Then, the list surfaced. Inside one meal were industrial oils, dough chemicals, antifungals, dyes, dicers, and ingredients tied to thyroid stress, gut inflammation, and behavior problems in children. One chicken sandwich carried about 120 ingredients. One burger could reach roughly 85. Even the fries had 17. This was not just food. It was a business system engineered for shelf life, consistency, and margin. The question is no longer what Burger King sells. The question is what the customer is really buying. A full order cost about $24. A Whopper, a spicy Royal Crispy Chicken Sandwich, large fries, a chocolate shake, and a high-C freezy. On the surface, it looked normal, cheap enough, fast enough, familiar enough to feel safe. That is the model. At the counter, one detail sounded reassuring. The burger patty itself was 100% beef and cooked in a broiler, not fried in oil. That sounds like the clean part, maybe even the safe part. But the ingredient list tells a different story. Even the salt and pepper seasoning used on the patty contains canola oil. So before the bun even closes, a plain beef burger has already started becoming an industrial product, and that is where the economics begin. The Whopper is sold as simple comfort: beef, bun, lettuce, tomato, pickles, onions, ketchup, and mayonnaise. Some pieces really are simple. The onions are onions. The lettuce is lettuce. The tomato is tomato. For a moment, the illusion holds. Then, it cracks. The pickles are not just cucumbers, salt, and vinegar. They can include 9 ingredients, including calcium chlorine, sodium benzoate, polysorbate 80, and sometimes artificial colors. These additions help preserve texture, prevent spoilage, and keep the product predictable across thousands of locations. That predictability is valuable. In fast food, sameness is not a side effect. Sameness is the product. A pickle cannot be excellent in one city and limp in another. It has to crunch the same way, taste the same way, and survive the same supply chain. That is why a small topping becomes a small chemical system. The cucumber becomes logistics. Then comes the mayonnaise. Its first ingredient is soybean oil. Traditional mayonnaise can be made with egg yolk, vinegar, and salt. Fast food mayonnaise is usually built around cheaper refined oils. Those oils are heated, extracted, processed, deodorized, and stabilized before they ever reach the sandwich. The customer tastes creaminess. The business sees low cost and long shelf life. That is the trade hiding under the sauce. The cheese is another quiet reveal. American cheese often cannot be called plain cheese because it is a processed cheese product. Burger King's version contains 11 ingredients, including artificial colors, soy lecithin, and natamycin. Natamycin is an antifungal used to slow mold growth. That keeps inventory alive longer. But it also means the burger contains a compound designed to fight fungi. That is not comfort food. That is shelf management. Now comes the bun. This is the worst part. It contains about 40 ingredients, including multiple seed oils and potassium iodate. Potassium iodate is banned in bread products across the European Union, the United Kingdom, Australia, and parts of Asia. In the United States, the FDA allows up to 3 milligrams in a bun. That can mean over 1,000 micrograms of iodine. The recommended daily allowance is only 150 micrograms. Too little iodine is a problem. Too much can stress the thyroid. So one soft bun can carry a dose that changes the entire risk profile of the meal. The part that looks most harmless may be the part doing the most work. The bun also contains azodicarbonamide, a chemical known for its use in foamed plastics, including yoga mats. It includes calcium peroxide, a dough bleaching agent. It includes datum, a dough conditioner used to strengthen processed bread. These are not kitchen ingredients. They are manufacturing tools. Bread became infrastructure. This is menu engineering. Every additive has a job. Dough must rise consistently. Bread must stay soft during transport. Sauce must resist separation. Cheese must avoid mold. Pickles must crunch the same way every time. In a franchise system, consistency is profit. The more a product survives storage, shipping, and handling, the easier it is to scale worldwide. A Whopper can reach roughly 85 ingredients because scale rewards complexity. That is the hidden genius of the system. It does not depend on one great cook. It depends on instructions, suppliers, preservatives, stabilizers, and ingredients that behave the same under pressure. The restaurant is not really cooking from scratch. It is assembling a pre-engineered outcome. That outcome has a name: fast food. Then the chicken sandwich arrives and the number jumps. The spicy, royal, crispy chicken sandwich contains about 120 ingredients across the bun, chicken, breading, and sauces. It has mayonnaise, royal sauce, and spicy glaze. One sauce alone, the royal sauce, has around 25 ingredients, including maltodextrin, sugar, natural flavors, and xanthan gum. The sandwich is not one food. It is a stack of supply chain solutions, and each layer solves a business problem before it solves a human one. The chicken itself may be real chicken, but it is wrapped inside layers of batter and breading. There are multiple coatings with flours, starches, modified food starches, leavening agents, gums, and oils. That coating creates crunch, volume, flavor, and visual abundance. It also lets a relatively small piece of chicken become a larger, more profitable sandwich. The customer sees a big sandwich. The company sees yield. That is menu math. Now it gets worse. The oils are not just ordinary oils. Fast food chains can no longer use partially hydrogenated oils because those created artificial trans fats. So the industry moved toward other structures, including fully hydrogenated soybean oil blended with regular seed oils. These are known as interesterified oils. Some studies show they can raise fasting glucose by up to 20% and reduce insulin secretion. That is a dangerous exchange for crispiness. This is the part of fast food most customers never see. The industry did not stop engineering food when one ingredient became controversial. It adapted. It found replacements. It rebuilt the system around what was still permitted, still scalable, and still profitable. That does not always mean safer. Sometimes it means newer. Different is not the same as better. The fries look like the safest choice. Potatoes, salt, heat. That is what the mind imagines. Burger King's fries contain 17 ingredients. They are cooked in seed oils that are heated for long periods, often all day. Fryer oil at major fast food restaurants may be changed about once a week. That means potatoes can be cooked in oil exposed to repeated heat for 16 or more hours a day, over 6 or 7 days. The fryer oil can contain dimethyl polysiloxane, an anti-foaming agent and a key component associated with silly putty. It is used to keep oil from foaming during high-volume frying. The business reason is obvious. Less foam means smoother operations and fewer interruptions. The consumer reason is less obvious. A potato has become a vehicle for fryer chemistry. The chocolate shake sounds like dessert. It feels separate from the burger. It feels like the reward at the end. But it carries its own industrial signature. It has about 19 ingredients. Some are expected, like milk, cream, and sugar. Others are harder to explain at a dinner table. One is propylene glycol. Related compounds are used in de-icing products, including applications for plane wings and RV systems. Food-grade propylene glycol is permitted, but its presence shows how far the product has moved from a homemade shake. The point is not that every permitted ingredient is poison. The point is that the meal has become something else. It is not a burger, fries, drink, and dessert in the old sense. It is a designed experience built to survive the modern food machine. It has to pour right, freeze right, fry right, ship right, sit right, and taste right after all of that. Your appetite meets their operations plan. Then there is carrageenan. This thickener helps create smooth texture, but research has raised concerns about gut inflammation. A 2024 study added to the evidence that carrageenan and breakdown products like polygenin may irritate the gut. Much of the research involves animal models, but human concern continues to grow. The shake is not just sweet. It is stabilized, thickened, preserved, and engineered to feel creamy at scale. Even softness has a supply chain. The high-C freezy adds another layer. It contains Red 40, a dye now banned in California in certain food contexts, and linked with attention and behavioral issues in children. The drink also contains heavy processed sugar loads, often including high fructose corn syrup or similar sweeteners. Studies connect high fructose corn syrup with worse glucose tolerance and increased insulin resistance. Bright color, cold sweetness, and cheap sugar create an addictive product with a cost that may arrive later. That is the hidden bill. The business lesson is brutal. Fast food empires are not built only on taste. They are built on ingredients that survive trucks, freezers, fryers, workers, delays, and global repetition. A $24 meal is not cheap if the hidden cost is paid through inflammation, blood sugar damage, thyroid stress, and long-term dependence on medication. The receipt shows one price. The body may pay another. The system promises convenience, but convenience has to be manufactured. It promises consistency, but consistency requires intervention. It promises affordability, but the real cost may not appear at the register. It may appear months or years later, in energy, cravings, lab results, and medication bottles. Cheap can become expensive slowly. The alternative is not glamorous. Potatoes can be cut and roasted with salt and tallow. A burger can be grilled with real beef, real cheese, lettuce, tomato, and a simple bun. A chicken sandwich can use chicken breast, spices, olive oil, and a short ingredient list. It takes time. That is the trade. And time is exactly what fast food monetizes. It sells back the minutes people do not think they have. Then it fills those minutes with products built to last longer than they should. This is why the ingredient list matters. Not because every customer must become a chemist, but because hidden complexity changes trust. When a meal needs dozens of additives to appear simple, simplicity becomes a performance. When bread needs about 40 ingredients, bread is no longer just bread. When a chicken sandwich needs about 120 ingredients, the sandwich is not merely spicy, crispy, and convenient. It is a business model you can eat. And that is the trap. Burger King did not become powerful by accident. It mastered speed, shelf life, and menu psychology. It learned how to make food that feels familiar while being built for scale. It learned how to turn ingredients into operations. It learned how to make the crown feel comforting. But once the ingredient list is visible, the crown looks different. The real question is simple. If the food needs 120 ingredients to exist, is it still food? Or is it just the most profitable way to make hunger feel satisfied?